If you ever go backstage at the circus, you'll notice large elephants tethered to a small stake with a rope around their ankle. Although the stake could be easily pulled up, the elephants never attempt to break free. This is because they were initially tied to a large log or tree with an unyielding chain or rope during their training as babies. Eventually, they learn that the rope around their ankle signifies their inability to become free. Even as adults, the elephants remain passive, believing they are still tied to a substantial stake. This same phenomenon applies to human beings, and this is why so many people remain trapped in the matrix, despite having all the tools necessary to break free. From the way we perceive success to our daily consumption patterns, the matrix subtly shapes our thoughts and actions without us even realizing it. It keeps us in line and limits our options, so we feel like the only way to progress is by following the path it lays out for us. But what is this matrix? The matrix is a system of control and a product of our modern society that plays on our insecurities and fears. It's like an artificial reality that totally affects how we see things, how we act, and what we believe. It's so easy to lose our sense of individuality when faced with such influence. We end up conforming to the norms set by the matrix, always looking to fit in and be accepted. We become robots, living our lives according to a prescribed set of rules. But there is one type of man who seems immune to the matrix's control: the Sigma male. He is intelligent and independent, choosing to live his life outside the normal social dominance hierarchy of society. This type of man is often viewed as an outsider, but he is a strong individual who refuses to be put into a box, which definitely doesn't sit well with the matrix. While the rest are brainwashed and fall in line, he follows his own path. But what exactly makes the Sigma man so resistant to the matrix's control? 1. He can see past the illusions most people are tricked by. How many times have we seen people deceive themselves and believe in something that is not true? We get caught in our own bubbles and get lost in the stories we tell ourselves. We are so naive that we believe everything we hear, especially from the mainstream matrix sources. Authority and media are all used to influence our thinking. While most firmly believe what they are told, the Sigma male can see through illusions and understand the truth behind them. This is due to his skepticism and his ability to think logically. He questions everything and seeks the truth on his own. Of course, this doesn't mean that he will never accept what he is told, but only that he will check whether the statements are true or not. That's why it's very hard to fool a Sigma, as he will always question the motives and logic behind your words. Even if you don't stutter at first, eventually you will, and it will be almost impossible to manipulate him. 2. He breaks the chains of dogmatic thinking. Dogmatic thinking has been a controversial topic since the beginning of history. Many have been indoctrinated to accept certain ideas, even though they clearly have no logical basis and do not help them to grow. This is one of the main reasons why most people doubt their dreams and cannot cope on their own. This dogmatic thinking has taught us to fear the unknown, not to try anything new, and always to lack the courage to do something different. The Sigma man has never accepted this. He always sought to break the chains of limited thinking patterns and take risks, even if it meant being judged. While others fear the unknown and prefer to stay in their comfort zone, Sigma sees adventure as a challenge. He is unafraid to try something new and is prepared to make sacrifices to gain the needed experience. This makes him a warrior in the spirit of truth, and many people admire his courage and will. 3. He stays detached from consumerism and materialism. One of the biggest traps of the matrix is excessive consumption and obsession with material things. These are all well-used marketing tricks to manipulate our emotional state and make us buy products that have no real use. The matrix is based on this kind of consumerism, so we don't put money aside and spend our lives living from paycheck to paycheck. Loan companies are everywhere, and they can't wait for us to turn to them. We buy the latest types of phones just to feel better and delude ourselves into believing that we are happier if we have more things. It's all designed to undermine our financial freedom, which rarely happens with a Sigma man. He prefers to stay away from materialism and focus on the things that really matter. Even if he doesn't have much, he tries to do what he can with what he has. You'll never see a Sigma bragging about the things he has or trying to look rich. True freedom comes from within, and that can't be bought. 4. He can't be manipulated or misled by the media. The media tends to present partial, selective, and even false information. This happens again and again, and most people take this information as true. In a world where people spend hours watching the news, the media significantly impacts how we think and act. Without realizing it, we become easily manipulated and make our decisions based on the information we receive. Not only does it constrain us to think in a certain way, but it also prevents us from thinking logically. Because the Sigma man values logic over emotion, he cannot be so easily manipulated by the media. He doesn't allow himself to be fooled by incomplete information or influenced by those in power. He always uses his reason and seeks the truth even when the information is biased. The Sigma male is not fooled by news presenters who emphasize the negative or break scores to attract audiences. He makes his own judgment and doesn't allow himself to be manipulated by emotional speeches that aim to influence. 5. He is a truth seeker who doesn't accept answers blindly. If there's one thing the Matrix hates, it's our right to ask questions. They don't want us to be too curious because then we might realize that what we tell ourselves is sometimes simply incorrect. He wants us to have no doubt so we can accept everything at face value. That's why they want us to be in a state of confusion, so we can accept more things without questioning why. A Sigma male will always ask questions and won't take any answer without thinking about it. Even if it's too complicated to understand all the things happening, he feels it's his duty to investigate. He will always ask himself why, what is the logic behind a statement, and what could possibly be true. One who asks questions and seeks the truth will always be a threat to the Matrix, especially if they can discern between truth and lies. Many people have been killed, humiliated, and persecuted throughout history because of this. Even today, those who question sometimes become targets of the Matrix. It's no wonder why many are silenced before the truth comes out. 6. He avoids the herd mentality and does his own research. The Matrix has done its job too well. Most people do what others do, and so they add to this indoctrinated crowd. They think this is normal and see nothing wrong with it. But if they take a few moments to think logically, they might realize how damaging it really is. Many people do nothing but follow this way and judge those who think differently, not because it's right or true, but because that's the way the Matrix has taught us to think. But the Sigma man is not part of this crowd. He avoids being the sheep of this system and seeks to do his own research, even if it takes him outside the norm. He is aware that anything we accept without question may be a lie. And that's why he's always looking for the truth, even if it means doing something others don't. He is not afraid to ask other people for their opinions, but prefers to rely on his research and form his own opinion. This is one of the reasons why the Sigma has become so respected and powerful, being able to see the truth even when everyone else ignores it. 7. He doesn't give his power away to external influences. How many times have we felt overwhelmed? How often have we been ready to give up because we've been told it's too hard, we don't have enough time, or we're not good enough? We have often let ourselves be influenced by external factors and given up on our dreams. Because of these, we have grown up believing that we will never be able to do anything great, even if we wanted to. But the Sigma man has a different mindset. He doesn't let himself be influenced by those around him. even if they tell him he has no chance of succeeding. If you tell a Sigma that he's too hard or can't make it, he will definitely blacklist you. He doesn't need such friends and isn't interested in wasting time with people who sabotage his dreams. He only wants quality people who will support him because that's exactly what he would do for them. The Sigma man doesn't need 1,000 fake friends, just a few trustworthy ones to talk to openly. That's why he doesn't even have many friends, because many are fake these days. 8. He doesn't waste his life with useless addictions. The new generation has become extremely dependent on technology and social media. Many people spend hours in front of their screens, wasting time on unimportant things. Many are addicted to video games, pornography, and other addictions that will affect their relationships and physical health over time. Not only does it not help them evolve, but it also alienates them, making them more lonely. This wouldn't be a problem if video games were your area of expertise, but many people just get lost in the virtual world and thus waste years of their lives. That's not to say that Sigma doesn't enjoy technology, but he knows how to make a small distinction between how technology is used and becoming addicted to it. This awareness comes from his desire to use his time wisely, investing in things that will bring him real benefits, not in something that could affect his health. He uses technology to grow, not to hide from reality. 9. He avoids the cheap dopamine of social media. Just like with any addiction, social media provides us with a small amount of dopamine that keeps us hooked and makes us crave more. This can lead to an obsession that makes us waste hours on social networking platforms, even when we have something more important to do. This addiction is even more complicated because its destructive nature is not immediately apparent. People often fail to realize how they waste their time, hoping to gain something in return. Because of his personality, the Sigma male quickly realizes this. He doesn't get caught in the vicious cycle of addiction and knows how to step back to see things objectively. His independence and strength will allow him to let go of things that bring no benefit. 10. He reframes his life as an adventure, not a struggle. A person's life can be perceived in many ways. Sometimes life feels like a good adventure, full of beautiful moments and exciting challenges we can overcome with those around us. But other times, life feels like a constant struggle that makes us want to give up. Unfortunately, many of us have become used to this mentality and even build our lives around these limiting concepts. Even in the most difficult situation, the Sigma man always sees the positive side. He reframes his life as an adventure and doesn't get overwhelmed by small problems that can overshadow the joy of living. While others complain day and night about the hardships of life, he uses his energy to overcome these obstacles. Complaining won't solve anything, but fighting can overcome any problem. It's not easy, but what's the point of life if not to progress? There's a quote that says it best. Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass, but learning how to dance in the rain. 11. He sees through fake stories, lies, and propaganda. Since childhood, we've been conditioned to get high grades and do what our teachers tell us. Anyone who deviates from this rule is punished and fined, or seen as a rebel who needs to be brought back in line. This message has been repeated so often until we started to believe that this rule is fair and necessary to survive and thrive in society. Once we grew up, this rule applied to our normal lives as well. We have limited our freedom of expression and our minds this way. Sometimes we are afraid to speak the truth because we fear being punished or judged. This happens all too often without us realizing that this is actually the goal. Because of his different thinking and need to understand everything, the Sigma male has tried to do things differently since childhood. But not out of a need to be different, but simply out of his curiosity to discover and understand how the world actually works. This often earned him the black sheep label, being pointed at and judged for his principles. But this is also why the Sigma man can see beyond the lies and propaganda.